So I saw this news article today pop up my news feed on Facebook, and it was from a local news channel, and it was from a story out of Arizona as I'm looking on my computer. And it was about a special needs boy, and I want to say he was like 15 or 16 in that age range, and he spit on the bus driver, and the bus driver slapped him. There's a lot of controversy in the story from my point of view. I'll show you the comments that I put in, and 80% of these people are saying, glad I'm somebody slapped him. We make such excuses for our special needs children. And I believe that is the most bizarre thing to say to somebody. If you have been a special needs parent and know what a traumatic brain injury actually does to a child's brain, no, I'm not saying spitting is the answer. I do find it disgusting. But if you saw what the boy has going on, and I'm sorry, he spit, but there was other ways to resolve this issue, like I put on the article, pulling over on the side of the road, calling the bus dispatcher at the garage, removing him. But no, the bus driver with another adult egged on this child while he seatbelted in. This child is nonverbal, has a traumatic brain injury, was seatbelted by an adult, and was egged on again to go and spit. I mean, I just, I don't get what goes through some people's minds. I would be angry in this situation too. When Sasha went to school, well, the school she still goes to, but back in the day there was another little boy and he started to spit. And they did put a face mask on him on the bus, and he is now at a different school, but I don't know what for reason. Spitting is a way to almost form frustration when they're nonverbal, and when you have the normal child that can communicate with you, when a child is nonverbal and they have frustrations, they're going to spit, they're going to smack, they're going to have meltdowns because they can't tell you emotionally how they're feeling, and it's frustrating for them. So I found this article very interesting because, yes, it does take two sides of it. Spitting's disgusting and the child should know better. But if you're a special needs parent, you would get this article that it's just not about spitting, it's about how the adult should have handled the situation 10 times better, and said, I shouldn't have egged this kid on. I should have dealt with it a whole different way. The child is not asked to be nonverbal and strapped in and frustrated and can't communicate. So, next time you see somebody out with a special needs kid, remind yourself that sometimes when they don't communicate, or even if they do communicate, the human brain works in so many different ways that sometimes it doesn't work the way you and I do with no brain injury, and it takes them a lot longer to process things. It takes them a lot longer to process emotions. They don't know hate sometimes. They don't know how to express their feelings. So just keep that in mind.
He's missing 2/3 of the right side of his brain. He's partially paralyzed on his left side, has cerebral palsy, and suffers from epilepsy. Now, the driver says he slapped the student for spitting on him twice, but the boy's parents say in the video, it also shows two adults holding their son down and the slap that knocked the back of his head into the window.
The man basically egged him on and said, do it again and I'll hit you. This is a grown man against my son. And my son's in a seatbelt. Where's he going?
A school resource officer is investigating, and even though that bus driver no longer works for the district, he does not face any charges. That's as of tonight.
So I typed in a comment on the article because I was a little infuriated, and some of the people's comments on here are just absolutely sickening. The last person responded to me that she would slap him. And some of the comments that go on that obviously don't have special needs children. And I know it's a matter of hygiene and spitting, and we shouldn't allow our kids to have excuses. But these people that are just sitting here talking about special needs or not, nobody needs to be spit on. He needs aid on the bus. I agree with that one. There's just some truly crazy comments on here about people, and aside from the special needs, I'm guessing the bus driver would still be in trouble if the child had no special needs. And I think people are missing the point of what a traumatic brain injury actually does to a child. Oh, and I said he was nonverbal. I'm sorry to clear it up. He has the cognitive capacity and verbal skills of a 3-year-old. So people that say he knew what he was doing, when you have those cognitive skills of a 3-year-old and that much of a traumatic brain injury, you're not going to respond the way a normal 15 or 16-year-old would. So if somebody asks you to stop spitting, they might spit again, or they might not understand what you're saying to them, because that's what a brain injury does to somebody. The brain does not function like you and I do. And when somebody has confrontational, I mean, with Sasha, when people, think my grandmother fell down on the ground recently, you know what Sasha did? She laughed, because Sasha does not get the human emotion that people are hurt and people are sad. She doesn't have that connection. It's on a whole different level when you have a traumatic brain injury, and people need to educate themselves a little bit more on that. And I know when I post this that there's going to be many probably different views on this. Some people think the bus driver had every right to egg him on and slap him, and some people who have special needs kids can relate better maybe to this article, but I'm a true believer, and there is so much hate and so much violence already in this world. It is crazy what goes on in our school systems with the bullying, and I think for the bus driver to just create more violence was totally unnecessary in this situation. You're just gonna have to go on Broadway with that voice.
Yep,
You're amazing.
I am.
Say thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Going.